I remember Grandma Robinson in the kitchen cooking, and the big pots, the big stove, and everything that they used. And the day that we went to visit them, Mary Elizabeth and Leola and I played up in the little room on the top part of that faces southwest. It had that little room, and then that's where she had all of her play toys and everything. We visited that day, and that was a day well remembered. And other things around it was Dr. Warner's building. That's the doctor then had here. And they had the drugstore, Betts Whitman's drugstore. And the post office was on that side of town. And H.M. Kite's hardware store was on the corner. And the drugstore was on the corner where it is now, built back. The old drugstore burned down. They went down early one morning to set the furnaces, load them up with coal and things, get them started, and left for some reason to go do something, then was going to come back. And in the meantime, that building caught on fire some way and burned down, and then where the Claude pharmacy is now and the drugstore that we have now was built right in the same spot that one was. The old one had a library in it, and then upstairs, and the basement to it, and everything. They heated it from the basement. And then this side of town was built, and a string of buildings, and the theater. And then Harbaker had a restaurant on the corner there where the last one was, and this string of buildings. And then Neil Collins' store was a two-story building that's down below that. And the top part of it was a rooming house. And that was run by Neil Collins' mother and father, stepfather at that time. Because my grandmother, when she married and had the children that was growing up, they came back to live with Neil and Lizzie, and they're running the rooming house up above that building, and they had their rooms back in the back part of it, and we used to go visit and live Aunt Jane and Uncle John a lot of times. And when I drew the picture of the depot, old Linda Collins, and when I took it to her, Tom said, "Well, what do you want that old thing for?" So what she thought about was giving it to Imogene, to go in her home. And Tom had to see it before she got off to go on that trip to see Imogene. And he liked it. And the picture stayed here, and old Linda went on up to see Imogene without the picture. So he liked it, and it stayed here. And so I enjoyed fixing that depot. That was something else on this end of town. It was quite an antique, you might call it. But it was always warm. It had one of the old big pot-belly stoves on the inside. And then when it was built for seats and things for the passengers in the front part of it. And on the south was a small room for the colored people. At that time, the colored people didn't get to ride or sit where the white folks did. and it was that way on the train. They rode at the back of the coach, and many a time I stood at that corner watching the trains go by. It would come down to go to the grocery store. Mom and Papa run the store, and they worked there. And so I was little. I tagged along, stayed around, hung around the building. So when the trains go through, I'd be out there watching the train go by and wave at the conductor as they went through. And the men that drove the train, and the first train that went through here, the fireman or the man that run the engine, his name was Claude, and they asked him what the name of his town was. He said it didn't have one. So he said, well, why not name it after me? So that's where Claude gets his name. And then along something else they put in when people started coming into town was the Cavins Lumber Company that was built there, and the sidetrack built over to the lumber company. I don't think that's been used for years. Maybe that track, part of it is still back there, and where the sidetrack for the cabooses and all of those things that had lumber and paint and all of that was brought in with people to build their homes. And on the east end of town, as you go out east, was Raj and a blacksmith shop. And then started fixing windmills and things in town, and people to get water. At first they hauled the water in from, I believe it's a well that Earl Blanton had. He told about it in the Book of Memories, putting the wells down and furnished people with water, and they brought their barrels into town on the sleds and filled them with water from the place there on the corner of the courthouse square. That's where everybody got their water. And then they had a horse tank there. It was a concrete, and that concrete horse tank there is out on the Osborne farm. That's where they moved it to. And I don't know whether they still have it out there or not, but that's who got it and took it out to their farm. And on that corner where the well was on the courthouse lawn, they took it down. And when they took it down, they built a bandstand that was used for concerts on Saturday night. At that time, people used to come to town on Saturday night at the end of the week, do their shopping for the rest of the week. And they used that bandstand for a long, long time. And the caretaker of the courthouse and bandstand and all of the grounds around the courthouse were taken care of by a fellow by the name of Uncle Johnny Miles. A lot of people remember Uncle Johnny Miles, and took care of it for years and years. And he gathered up tinfoil in that was thrown down, around the grounds on like Hershey candy comes in, that foil that they were wrapped in. And he picked those up and saved that, or what he saved it for, I don't know.